Hi, this is Marcus Curtis from Marcus Curtis Music, and this is the third video in our series, Use Any Behringer X-32 for Studio Recording, a beginner's guide. So what we're basically doing is taking any X-32 and we're using it in a home studio environment or a home studio setting. Now if you're watching this video, you probably already own an X-32, or maybe you're thinking about buying one. And if you have a computer, you can put the two together and start your very own home recording studio. Now we're doing this on a budget, so we're trying to use equipment that we have lying around the house. You probably have, some mics, and if you're a musician, you probably have, some guitars or maybe a keyboard. So we're gathering everything we need for this home recording studio, and we're using everything that we own first before we invest any money. And we're doing this on a tight budget, so we're getting most software for this venture for free. So in our first video, what we did is we interfaced the Behringer with the computer. And then we downloaded some software. We did a firmware update. We downloaded the Behringer app. We downloaded 2 free DAW applications. And then we configured the whole system and got everything up and running. And then in the second video, what we did is we recorded some audio tracks. And we learned how to record audio tracks from the various inputs in the Behringer. We learned a little bit about routing. And then we also recorded from the auxiliary inputs as well. And then we started to learn how to use the effects in the mixer and how to blend that with our audio signal. Okay, so in this video, the third video, we're going to dive into using the effects on the Behringer mixer to record our audio signal. Not just the effects in the mixer, also the things that are in the channel strip, like the compressor and the EQ and the gate. How to use that stuff and blend that in with the signal that we're currently recording. I'm going to cover how to do that a few different ways, and we're going to start right now. We're going to begin by opening up the Behringer X-32 app, and you can see that channel 8 has the mic plugged in. So when I talk, it's right here in channel 8. Okay, channel 7 has my guitar, so if I strum, I have a little bit of the guitar right there. So we've got a cakewalk project open right now. We're going to insert a track real quick, and we should just insert another track, so we have 2 tracks. So we can do a comparison test. And then we're going to go back to the mixer. So you can see what's recorded with effects and what's not recorded with effects. So to begin with, the basics of recording with effects in the mixer is found in routing. Okay, so you have to click on routing. And everything that we use for recording with effects is in the alternate port. You have to use the alternate port to record with effects. That's your way around it. Now, if you have a P16 hooked up to the alternate port, this isn't going to work. If you're not using your P16, then this is how you would access the effects in the mixer. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the card, okay? Then we're going to take channels 1 through 8, and we're going to go over to where it says alternate, and now we're hooked up. So the card source is getting its source from the alternate. Now, in the last video, we went to the alternate section, and we took channel 1, we were plugged into channel 1, and we went to the left channel of the monitor right here, and it worked fine. We had all of our effects set up in our channel strip, and everything worked good. But the problem is, this is good for recording the initial effects. Like, for example, if these are the first tracks you're recording, okay, and you want those effects on this is good for that. But if you're listening back to audio while you're recording effects, you'll get some bleed from the tracks you're listening back to the fresh track you're recording. So you want to keep everything separate. So we're going to go back here. And in our example right here, we're in track 7, okay? So in our alternate source, we can have different sources we can pick. We can use the left main and the right main, or we can use the left and right monitor out. But in using these, you're going to get bleed. You're going to get these tracks bleeding on one another. When you're recording, you want that separation. So your best bet is to use the direct out channel. Okay, but there are some limitations to this. We're going to cover this in a minute. So you see where it says green right here. Down here is our little check as far as signal routing, what each one does. Okay, so this is from the input. So your source is only from the input. And then here it's pre-EQ, post-EQ, pre-fader. Now there's different ways you can change this. You can probably, the best bet would be to go down here where it says default signal tap. Click on that, And what we're going to do is we're going to select pre-fader. Okay, so that is this color right here, blue. So now when we go up to channel 7 and we click on track 7, it turns blue. Now if you're recording multiple tracks at the same time, you can come down here and click all of them and turn them blue if you want. And then if you're going to record 16 tracks at once, let's say, and we'll go back to the card, and you want outputs 9 through 16, you just go over here to the alternate. So now 9 through 16 is getting its source from the alternate as well. Come over here to the alternate, and you can just kind of select our pre-fader here, and then we're going to go all the way down, kind of like so. So now what we've done is we have unlocked everything in the channel strip. Okay, so we can now, it's getting the signal from the pre-fader right before it goes to the fader. Okay, and that means that the EQ and the compressor and all that stuff is now going to be recorded in the tracks that we record. But the limit is that you're not going to be able to get things that are in the buses, like for example, reverb units and that kind of stuff is not going to come in. Anything that you record has to be within the channel strip if you're going through this approach, because we're going through the direct out. Okay, so now our next thing is we're going to run a test. Okay, so let's go ahead and close routing for now, and we're going to go over to our guitar track. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. You can kind of hear the guitar without it being plugged in through the microphone. We're going to have to turn this up so that we can get some gain here. Okay. Now I'm going to bring up Cakewalk. And we'll use this channel right here. And we're going to select on our input 7. Okay. So when we arm it, we should be able to see that. Now you want the signal to be between -12 and 18. If you can't see that, you could probably pull it down. But if you're recording multiple channels, this isn't going to work. So you're going to have to push it up like this. What you could do if you want to is you can go up to here where it says options, come down and go to where it says meter options and go to horizontal meters. Now the meter is horizontal, and you can kind of drag it out this way to make it a little bit bigger. And if you still want it even bigger, just right click on the meter and decrease the decibel range here. So now you can see here we're into 24-bit. So here is 12 and here's 18. So we want the signal to be between this area right in here. Okay, so now we have to go a little bit higher. So we're going to go over here to where our deal is. We're at plus 40 gain. All right, let's see if we can increase that a little bit, not going too much. Let's check it. Okay, we're above the, let's see if we're above the 18. Oh, way above. Let's go back and adjust that a little bit. Oh, not here. We need to adjust it from here, actually. Bring it down. See how that works. Okay, so now we're recording with the channel strip. So for this example, we're going to go back to our track 7 here. We're going to engage the EQ. And we are on bass. So we're going to go over to where the EQ is. And what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of bring this stuff up. And let's go ahead and bring the mid-range and the treble up. Just kind of get it. And we're going to pull the bass down and make it real trebly, right? And let's broaden our frequency range here. So now it should be tinty. There we go. Lots of treble now. Okay, so we're just going to record a couple chords so that you can see what it sounds like. We're going to turn off the metronome and let's record a couple chords. Okay, that's good. And we're going to shut that off. Now, if it didn't record with the effects, this will be a little bit more bassy. If we used a channel strip and the EQ was included, then it will sound just like we recorded it. So let's go ahead and listen to it. Well, let's go ahead and run it back into the mixer. We'll go ahead and down here and we're going to go to routing, and then we're going to go over to inputs. Then we're going to do on our auxiliary ends, we're going to go down to card 1 and 2. Now, if we go down to our auxiliary, which is right there, and it should register as we play. Okay, good. So now, we're going to do another track right here. We're just going to compare the two. And let's pull up our app. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our configuration here, or our channel. I'm going to turn the EQ off. Now, I'm going to arm that for recording. I'm going to unarm 1 so we don't record over this track again. Okay, and we're going to select our channel. And this is going to be 7. Okay, now let's go ahead and record that. Let's go ahead and mute this too. Okay. Okay, good. So now let's listen to the difference. Here is the track without the EQ. Okay, and here is the track using the EQ from the mixer. Okay, so let's go back to our Behringer app, and we're going to go back to routing. So as you can see, when we go into, let's see, where are we? Let's go to alternate. Okay, so now this is set up to where we can get all of the effects that are in the channel strip, but we're not going to be able to get any of the reverbs or delays or that kind of thing, because we're using buses for those. Okay, so if I were to go to the bus, say over here where the sends are, and I added reverb, it wouldn't record that reverb. It has to be within the channel strip of itself. That's where our source is coming. So the only way you can use these effects is if you use the insert option. Okay, so in order to use the insert option, we're going to go over here to where our effects rack is, and we can see we have an amp right here that I've put in earlier. Now I'm going to turn this on to channel 7. So now this amp is routed to channel 7. So effects 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can do as many as 8 tracks with these different types of effects. Okay, so we're going to go back to our channel, and you see our insert. We can just kind of turn it on and position it where we want it to be. Okay, so let's go to config. This is what we need. Now we're going to arm our insert. Now here's our, but yeah, we're going to be way loud, so let's go ahead and turn this down a little bit. There we go. Let's go over to 5 through 8 here, where our channel strip is. We're going to go ahead and turn that on, and let's bring our level down a little bit. Let's try that with our cakewalk. Let's see where we are in our meters. We're going to go ahead and mute this. I'm going to start another track, insert an audio track. Let's pull this down, and we're going to arm it for recording. And we're going to select an input. 7. All right. Let's go back over to our app. Well, actually, let's go over here. We can turn this up a little bit. That'll fix it. Let's go back to our app. And let's go over to where our channel is. Increase our volume a little bit. Well, that's good enough, because all we're doing is we're seeing if we're getting our distortion. Okay, so in our test, we're just going to go ahead and hit record. Let's see if the distortion comes in. We're going to stop it. And when we play it back, this is what happens. Okay, so we didn't get any distortion in here, even though we had it in the rack mount. So I'm going to show you how we fix that. Let's go back here, and we're going to click on Config. Okay, the fix is really simple. All you have to do is change your insert point. If you insert right here, now you're going to record with the distortion with the amp. Okay, if you have your insert point here, it's going to be dry. If your insert point is here, now you're going to record with the effect. So let's go back to Cakewalk, and we're going to undo this recording. We're going to arm it for recording. See how it's a little bit louder now. We're going to record with the effect right now. Okay. So there's our amp effect. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Okay, let's go back to our Behringer app. So as you can see, the insert point will determine whether you're going to record dry or whether you're going to add your effect right here. Now the only problem with the insert point is that you can only use one effect at a time. So let's say you want to use a reverb. Well, for effects 5 through 8, you don't have the option of reverb on here. Okay, you only can do EQs and those kind of things. So you're going to have to use effects 1 through 4. Let's go ahead and turn off our insert at this point. So if we go back, say we want to use the reverb, we want to record with the reverb. If we click on bus 13 here, where it's currently routed, there's nowhere to patch it into 7. So what we have to do is we have to go over to where it says channel right here. So it says off, click on that. And then our first effect, effects 1 left, we're going to click on that. Okay, that's going to be our insert. So now when we go over here to effects 1 through 4, now when we click on it, now insert channel 7 comes up. So now we can click on that to get into channel 7. You can hear that reverb already, right? So when we arm the insert, okay, so let's go back to our config source. So if we want to do it dry, right there. We can hear the reverb still if we play, but it's going to be dry. So in order to record with the reverb, we're going to have to highlight this arrow right here. This is where we have to insert our effect. Okay, now we'll be able to record with the reverb. Okay, so let's go back to our experiment here. I'm going to add one more effect. We're going to go ahead and actually we're going to add one more track, So just right click and insert another track, pull this down, select an input, which is going to be channel input 7 actually. Arm it for recording. Okay, so now it's just a matter of hitting the record button. You got to arm it for recording first. That helps. Now, hit the record button, not the other button. There we go. Okay. We didn't bother setting the levels on there, but all we're really after is to see if the reverb recorded onto the track. Let's see. Let's hear it back. Okay, so we were able to use, in these two tracks, we were able to use the channel strip and everything that's built into it. That could be noise gate, compressor, anything that's built into that channel strip we can use. And using the insert function, we were able to use a rack mount effect as well. So if we pull up our Behringer app, you can see that, let's go back to our config, actually our channel strip. If you're going to use 1 through 4 right here, you have to select it down in here first. Okay. Then once you select it, then you can come up to arm your insert, and you have to arm it also in here. Okay. And then from that point, you can go to your config and make sure that this arrow here is highlighted, and then you can record with one rack mount effect. So if you're doing this route where, let's go back to our routing. If you're doing this routing where you're doing it this way, you're only going to be able to use one rack mount effect and the channel strip. If you do it this way, where you take your source from the monitor, that is your alternate source. So basically it's coming from alternate into the card, okay? Then you can use multiple rack mount effects. But the problem is if you're overdubbing, then you're going to get bleed from the other tracks as you listen back to the audio while you're doing your overdub. So when you're recording your initial tracks, this is a good way to go. But if you're overdubbing, this is a better way to go. Thank you for watching this video. Now, if you follow the steps we've outlined, then you will be able to use the audio effects in the mixer and blend it with your audio signal while you record it. Now, in the next video, we're going to cover how to customize your studio, and we're going to cover how to expand its capabilities. One of the ways that we're going to expand the capabilities of your studio is with plugins. We'll cover some of that, and we're going to cover other ways to expand your studio as well. I would ask that you please remember to like and subscribe this video. Now, when you like this video, it encourages me to make more of these videos, but in addition to that, it helps the YouTube algorithm, and it gets this video out to more people who need this information. But also, if you subscribe, you will be notified of future videos coming up. Now, as always, thank you for watching, and I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next video.